Imagine for a moment that the world goes quiet. Not the quiet of a late night in the suburbs, but a profound digital silence. You reach for your phone, a reflex as natural as breathing, and find nothing but a black mirror. You try the lights, they flicker and die. Outside, the hum of the city, that constant electric heartbeat we've grown to ignore, simply stops. This isn't a local outage. It's not a hacked server or a downed fibre optic cable. This is a message from our parent star, written in the language of electromagnetism, and it has just erased the foundation of the 21st century. We live in a fragile bubble of light, tethered to a civilization that exists almost entirely in the cloud, a realm of invisible data that dictates our food supply, our heat, our memories, and our sense of self. We believe we are the masters of this planet, but we are actually just tenants living at the mercy of a volatile, churning ball of plasma 93 million miles away. We are one coronal mass ejection away from being thrown back into the 19th century, not in a matter of decades, but in a matter of minutes. The paradox of our modern existence is this: as our technology becomes more godlike, our individual survival becomes more precarious. We have built a global brain, an intricate nervous system of silicon and light, but we have forgotten that the sun is the ultimate predator. What happens to the human psyche when the digital mirror shatters? What happens to a species that has outsourced its memory and its connection to an ethereal web, only to find itself suddenly, terrifyingly alone in the cosmic dark? To understand our vulnerability, we must first look at the sun, not as a friendly yellow orb, but as a chaotic magnetic beast. The sun is a nuclear furnace, fusing 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium every single second. This process releases energy in the form of heat and light, but it also creates incredibly complex magnetic fields. Sometimes these fields become so twisted and knotted that they snap, releasing a colossal burst of energy known as a solar flare. But the real danger isn't the light, it's the matter. Occasionally, these flares are accompanied by a coronal mass ejection, or CME. Imagine 1 billion tons of superheated plasma, charged particles moving at millions of miles per hour hurled into the void. If the Earth happens to be in the firing line, we are protected by our magnetosphere, a biological shield that funnels these particles toward the poles, creating the beautiful, dancing curtains of the aurora borealis. However, there is a limit to what this shield can handle. In 1859, the Earth was hit by the Carrington event, the largest recorded solar storm in history. Back then, our only internet was the telegraph system. The geomagnetic storm was so intense that telegraph wires sparked, setting offices on fire, and operators reported they could send messages even after disconnecting the batteries. The northern lights were so bright they woke up gold miners in the Rocky Mountains, who began preparing breakfast, thinking it was dawn. If a Carrington-class event hit us today, the sparking telegraphs would be replaced by a global systemic collapse. We aren't talking about losing your Instagram feed. We're talking about the physical destruction of the high-voltage transformers that power our world. ACME induces massive electrical currents in long-distance power lines. These lines act like giant antennas, soaking up the solar energy until the transformers, the massive custom-built hearts of our grid, literally melt. These transformers cannot be bought at a hardware store. They take years to manufacture and weigh hundreds of tons. If enough of them fail simultaneously, the grid doesn't just go down, it dies. And without electricity, the internet, the physical servers, the cooling systems, the undersea cables, becomes a collection of useless glass and metal. To put this in perspective, imagine the history of the Earth as a 24-hour clock. Human civilization has existed for less than a second. In that tiny fraction of time, we have moved from stone tools to quantum computing. We have built an infrastructure that relies on a constant, stable flow of electrons. But on a cosmic scale, the stability of the sun is an illusion. Large-scale CMEs are not if events. They are when events. We are essentially building a glass castle in a neighborhood where it occasionally rains boulders. The physics is simple. F equals Q times E plus V times B. The Lorentz force law dictates how these charged solar particles interact with our electrical systems. When the magnetic field B of a CME interacts with our power lines, It creates an electromotive force that overrides our puny human engineering. We are trying to fight a star with copper wire. This is where the science of space weather meets the fragility of the human soul. If the internet died tomorrow, the crisis wouldn't just be logistical, it would be existential. We have undergone a profound neurological shift in the last 20 years. We have integrated the internet into our extended mind. Neuroscientists speak of transactive memory, the idea that we don't store information ourselves, but rather store where to find it. We don't remember the date of a historical event. We remember that Google knows it. We don't learn how to navigate a city. We follow the blue dot on a map. When the solar flare severs that connection, it's not just an inconvenience, it is a collective lobotomy. Suddenly, the you that exists online, your photos, your history, your social standing, your digital legacy, is gone. It is as if a segment of your brain has been physically removed. This leads to a phenomenon known as ontological insecurity. Without the digital feedback loop of likes, comments, and instant communication, the modern human begins to lose their sense of place in the world. We have become a species that requires a network to feel real. Evolutionarily, we are wired for small, tight-knit tribes. Our brains are designed to track the reputations and faces of about 150 people, but the internet expanded our tribe to 8 billion. We are now addicted to a level of social dopamine that the physical world cannot provide. In the silence following a solar storm, the dark forest of the universe returns. We would find ourselves standing in the dark, unable to hear the voices of billions, forced to face the terrifying reality of our immediate physical surroundings. There is a deep, unsettling irony here. We spend our lives looking at screens to avoid the existential dread of our own mortality and insignificance. We use the internet to fill every silent moment, to distract us from the fact that we are biological machines hurtling through a vacuum on a wet rock. When the sun takes that distraction away, we are forced into a state of radical presence. In that presence, we realize how alienated we have become from our own nature. We are the only creatures on Earth that require a global satellite network to find food. A squirrel doesn't need a 5G connection to remember where its nuts are buried. A hawk doesn't need GPS to find its home. But we, the masters of the universe, would be paralyzed. This is the cosmic insignificance trap. We have built a world so complex that it has become our greatest vulnerability. Our intelligence has created a trap that the sun can spring at any moment. Philosophically, this scenario echoes the allegory of the cave. We have been staring at the digital shadows on the wall for so long that we've forgotten they aren't the reality. The solar flare is the hand that drags us out of the cave and into the blinding light of the sun. But after a lifetime in the dark, the light doesn't feel like liberation. It feels like a death sentence. We would realize that our connections were mostly illusions, and our knowledge was mostly borrowed. We would have to face the existential silence. For the first time in a generation, we would be alone with our thoughts, without the ability to broadcast them into the void. This silence is what scares us most. It is the silence that reminds us we are small. It is the silence that confirms the universe doesn't care if we can tweet or not. The sun isn't attacking us. It's just being a star. It is indifferent to our hashtags and our bank balances. So, we are left with a haunting realization. Our entire modern identity is written in invisible ink on a digital page, held up to a candle that is prone to flickering. We have traded the resilience of the physical for the convenience of the virtual. We have become cosmic Icarus, flying closer and closer to the sun with wings made of fibre optic glass. If the solar superstorm happens, and the statistical models suggest a roughly 10% chance per decade, the world that emerges on the other side will not be the one we know. It will be slower, it will be smaller, it will be more human perhaps, but it will be a humanity grieving for a lost god, the internet. We must ask ourselves, if the wires went cold today, who would you be? Without your digital footprint, without your cloud-stored memories, without the constant validation of the ghost in the machine, what remains? Are we anything more than the data we produce? Or is there a core of human consciousness that can survive the silence? The sun continues its slow, magnetic dance. It doesn't know we're here. It doesn't know about our critical infrastructure. It just burns. And in that burning, there is a lesson about our place in the cosmos. We're a part of this system, not the masters of it. Our survival depends on our ability to remember how to be human in the dirt as much as in the cloud. What is the one thing you have, one skill, one memory, one piece of knowledge, that doesn't require a screen to exist? If the lights went out tonight, what would you reach for in the dark? Think about it, because the sun isn't waiting for your answer. I am 10 Minute Cosmos. Follow for more